Xbox E3 Conference 2019, the show that gave us so much information, but really gave us so little substance. I've never seen a show where I was riding high, yet knocked down so low. Where I saw so many cool games that I wanted to play, yet didn't see exactly what the game was about. This Xbox E3 showing was a tale of many stories. Do we show everything remaining this generation and show games coming next generation? Or do we hold things back in preparation for next year, where Xbox knows the competition will be even more fierce? And I have to say, it's a bit of a mixture of the two, because while Xbox did show pretty much everything remaining for this generation, they also hinted at the future of Xbox with Project Scarlet, much like they did with Project Scorpio back at the previous E3s. And to be fair, I feel like this is what the entire E3 conferences have been this year. Developers and publishers closing out the generation while they keep secrets for next year. But let's dive into the best and worst parts of the entire Xbox E3 conference. But before I do that, if you liked the video, please hit that subscribe button and that like button. The support is greatly appreciated. But let's jump into one of the best parts of the show, which was when Xbox announced Project Scarlet and its release date. We all knew that Xbox was going to show the new console or give a sizzle reel talking about what the machine will be capable of. Not to mention, it's right around the corner, set to release holiday 2020. Microsoft officially unveiled Project Scarlet, which has been the long-rumored successor of the Xbox One. In the video, the device should support 8K gaming and frame rates of 120 frames in certain games, not to mention ray tracing. This has been rumored for a little while now, so it's not a huge surprise to see this console get the reveal it did on the Xbox stage. Will this still be the most powerful console on the market? Maybe, but again, I really think that Sony won't relinquish the power narrative like they did with the mid-generation refresh of the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X. So this next year is going to be extremely interesting when the new consoles are discussed, because like we know, power does matter, and a lot of the games put on the system matter even more. So let's see what the new companies have to say about next generation next year. And for the next topic, let's stick to the hardware side of the conference and discuss the new Elite controller, which has a complete revamp. If you remember, Xbox brought out an Elite controller several years ago that was a smash hit with a lot of gamers. And at this E3, they discussed a much needed update on the Elite controller. The Elite Series 2 is going to feature over 30 new ways to play the way you want. There will be adjustable tension thumbsticks, new interchangeable components, up to 40 hours of rechargeable battery life, and not to mention limitless customization with the Xbox accessory app. To me, this sounds like a day one buy, and it has such a great look and feel to it. Not to mention, I loved the first Elite controller, and I was waiting for this new one to come out for a little while now. I might wait and grab it once the new console comes out, but I'm not too sure. All I know is that I really enjoyed the first controller, so this one does have me a little bit hyped for it. Now I'm going to go into the negative about the show just to get it over with, and I will go back into a lot of the positives once I'm done with these negative points. But I have to admit, this show was very disappointing in the aspect of not announcing any brand new big AAA IPs, or showing any gameplay of games that are only 3 months away. Games like Gears 5, The Outer Worlds, and even Bleeding Edge. These are big games that didn't show any gameplay whatsoever. It's very disheartening to know that I know nothing about the campaign or story surrounding Gears 5. They haven't shown anything on the open world aspect or the story beats that we can look forward to. That has to be the most disappointing part of the entire show for me, is that it felt like one giant commercial for gameplay trailers with no real depth to the actual games being shown. And if you pay attention to the conference, the beginning was on fire, everything being shown was pretty cool. But once Keanu Reeves was done being so awesome on stage, the conference took a terrible turn. There was a lot of small indie games that seemed to take the air out of the arena, not to mention it brought the entire Xbox conference to its knees. I understand you want to give those small developer teams their time to shine, but honestly, they should show 5 minutes of a sizzle reel and just move on to the bigger games most of the hardcore gamers want to see. Because that's what I feel E3 is. It's about the hardcore gamer, the people that want to play big immersive games, not these smaller games. And I understand those smaller games are pretty cool and people like them, but not every game is created in the same way. Not every game deserves the same attention as a big AAA does. And that's where I think Xbox needs to improve a little bit. Show bigger games, give the indies a little bit of limelight, but don't make it 20 minutes or 25 minutes of your conference. It's not worth the time, and it takes the air out of the whole conference. But let me go back to the positives. In the middle of the whole terrible 20 minutes they had, some Game Pass announcements that were pretty awesome were announced. As we can see, Game Pass is the business model that Xbox is going to be focusing on, which as a gamer I'm extremely happy about because it is the best value in gaming. I get to play all these different types of games, which is great for all gamers, but I want them to show some cool games coming to Game Pass and make some major announcements about Game Pass, and I guarantee you will put Game Pass in such a better light instead of focusing on it for too long. But they don't do that. Instead, they beat you over the head with certain aspects of Game Pass, and they've already sold a lot of people on Game Pass, and now all they need are the games. So show the games that are going to be on Game Pass, show games coming to Game Pass, and stick to that. Don't be talking about Game Pass and its features anymore. Move on and adapt to what the gamers want, which is just the games on it. You probably already have millions of people subscribed to it, so you already got those people. Now give them the content that they want. And speaking about games, let's talk about some of the best games that were shown on the stage. First up is Halo Infinite, which had one of the best trailers in the entire conference and so far the entire E3 event. The music, the emotional attachment, the desperation, everything in the trailer was something that every gamer wanted from a Halo trailer. But again, everyone felt that they should show a little bit of gameplay, but instead they showed some story beats and showed Master Chief being as cool as always. But again, after the trailer, which had my attention the entire time, I still felt a little bit empty without the gameplay mechanic to go along with it. So let's hope next year we finally see some awesome gameplay from the next Halo game. The next best game was Gears 5, which again didn't have any gameplay footage to speak of, which got me a little irritated, but what can you do? Instead, we got a lot of information about that mysterious escape mode, which was teased over a month ago, which I made a video about. But now we have all of the information needed about the new mode, and I have to admit, the new mode looked pretty cool. I enjoyed the rushy mechanic behind it, the urgency you have to get out of the area before that green poison smoke comes and destroys everything in its path. It's a little playoff of the Battle Royale mode with a circle closing, but instead you create the circle of carnage and you're trying to destroy the enemy in the only way you know how. Not to mention, people can create their own maps and escape modes that can challenge other people, so that's pretty awesome. But again, I wanted campaign story to be shown with different environments, and I didn't get that. I wanted to see Kate's story a little bit, flesh it out, make people excited for the campaign, especially when the game's coming out on September 10th, only 3 months away. This was your time to shine and show Gears 5 in such a great light. But then let's move on to Ninja Theory's new game, which to me looks pretty awesome. It has an Overwatch feel to it, but with melee combat instead. The game Bleeding Edge is going to have a lot of action in an arena type versus mode. Another game it reminds me of is Team Fortress 2 with 4v4 battles. And this game to a lot of people isn't something they're very interested in, but again, I feel this might be a game that surprises a lot of people. Because I've heard from people that were very negative on the game, yet played it at E3 and have said they're very surprised with the game. The combat is apparently very tight and easy to use, and a lot of the game's artistic feel fits the game very well. To me, if this releases early next year, this game can be one of those surprise hits, much like Apex Legends was earlier this year. So I'm looking forward to it. I love PvP and I love having little arena battles, and I really enjoyed Overwatch for many hours when it came out. So this game might be a surprise hit for a lot of people, and I'm happy that Xbox is making this, and we're gonna get it on Game Pass day one. And the next game which started off the show was The Outer Worlds, and I have to say that the game looks very well made, and it's exciting that they're releasing the game right in the middle of October because it shows that the developer and publisher has a lot of faith in the franchise. But it also gets me very excited knowing that this developer is a part of the Xbox Game Studios family, and that they will be given the resources to create the best possible games they can make from now on. They're a very big developer team of over 200 people, and they make great games that people love to play. And The Outer Worlds fits that bill to a T, especially after what they've shown the last 2 times the game has been shown. And it's exciting to know I'll be playing this game on Xbox Game Pass in October, which makes me happy as an Xbox gamer knowing I'll get Gears 5 in September and The Outer Worlds in October. Talk about great value and having a great game ready to play. Not to mention they showed a little bit of gameplay in the trailer to open up the conference, which makes me happy. Show gameplay, that's what we want to see. Now let's talk about the third-party games, which to me wasn't that great of a showing. The best showing was Cyberpunk 2077, especially the story beats that happened throughout the showing. It brought depth and made you feel like you were watching a movie. But as time went on, I realized none of this was gameplay, and we were watching another trailer with no gameplay. And right when I was about to get a little bit annoyed, they showed Keanu Reeves and everything was forgotten because he's such an awesome actor and an awesome guy. But then Keanu Reeves comes out on stage and everyone lost their minds, which was so cool to see, and one of the highlights of the show. He genuinely seemed excited to be there, and a lot of fans seemed happy to see him also. Not many actors carry that much clout around, so that part of the show was really cool and one of the highlights of the entire conference. Now to honorable mentions of games that I thought looked cool. To me, Forza Horizon Lego expansion was awesome, as one of the best showings on stage, because we got actual gameplay and had a taste of what the game is going to actually be like. Not to mention, they gave us a release date for the expansion, which will be later this week on June 13th. That alone is one of the best announcements, because it's something I want to play and something that was shown in a great way with gameplay, and I'm going to get my hands on it extremely soon. The other game that truly surprised me was Minecraft Dungeons, which had a very cool old school RPG feel for me. If you remember last year, Microsoft announced a surprise spin-off for Minecraft with this dungeon crawling RPG type of game. And not only did they show the game at the conference, but they showed off isometric gameplay, which, if I'm being honest, blew me away. The release is a little bit far away, set at spring 2020, but to me the gameplay in the trailer got my attention and I enjoyed the feel and look of the game a lot. I never thought I would be into a Minecraft game, but I love the co-op aspect and I love the dungeon crawling aspect. I think I might give this game a shot, especially since it might be on Game Pass. And I will close this video out by talking about XCloud, which Microsoft really didn't give a lot of details about. Now, it seems that the XCloud will launch beta or testing in October, where you can turn your Xbox One into your own personal and free XCloud server. They didn't mention price, specs, or anything about it, so I decided to keep this part short. I'm going to wait and see what they talk about and see what they reveal about XCloud later this year or even early next year. I think at this point, no one knows anything about XCloud, and we should really keep our expectations tempered until Microsoft announces something official, much like Google Stadia has. But as for what I think, I have to say this entire conference was very disappointing and something I didn't think would happen. It does feel like this whole E3 event is in limbo, and that means that this Xbox conference was in a holding pattern. It's almost like they didn't want to show anything until next year, where the new games and consoles will show power and solid frame rates. Even Bethesda showed Doom Eternal gameplay, and that's pretty much it. And I'm hoping that Ubisoft shows some new games with awesome gameplay, but again, most of that conference is showing games that are already out, and games that they already brought out, they're just adding to it, much like Rainbow Six Siege and Odyssey. So I'm not too sure what to expect this entire E3, especially since a lot of developers didn't even come to the show, and if they did, they didn't show any gameplay and decided to maybe wait till next year, where we could see some awesome graphics from the new consoles. Either way, I wanted more and I expected more from an E3 conference. And I'm not just talking about Xbox's conference, I'm talking about the industry as a whole. I expect more from a market that's getting bigger and has way more money invested in it, because right now I have to say this E3 isn't cutting it for me. But let me know what you guys think about this. What did you think about the Xbox conference? What games did you like at the E3 conference so far? Are you mad like me about the lack of gameplay showing? Are you even excited for any of the new games coming in the next year? What games are really coming out in the next year that really have you excited to be a gamer? Go down below and let me know. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please hit that subscribe button and that like button. Any support helps the channel out more than you know. And you can also follow me on Twitter at Zalker87. I'm always on there talking games and sharing my videos. Also follow me on Twitch. The link will be in the description if you want to hang out and chat with me. I'm very active with my chat and always playing games. I hope to see you guys there. That's all for now. Thanks for watching, and until next time, remember, enjoy your gaming. Later.